You know, living with a disease like this, you're unable to plan for the future. I was in and out of the hospital every other week, staying in there for weeks or months on end sometimes. And you don't know when this next crisis is gonna come in. I would always constantly have a bag packed just for the next time I had to be hospitalized. You felt unheard. A lot of doctors and nurses, they don't think you're in the excruciating amount of pain that you're actually in. You still feel this sense of loneliness and this sense of feeling misunderstood. My identity was based around having sickle cell. I thought that it would be something that took my life. I always thought about my son and him having to grow up without a father.
When I told my daughters I was donating, they asked why. They were too young to really understand. And I was straight to the point. I said, I'm trying to save somebody's life. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
What's going on, Spencer?
Hey,
What's
how's
going
it
on,
going?
It's going good, man.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You each have like such incredible resilience that I think is amazing, that we don't get to often see from both the patient and also the donor side, that I wish that in medical school we got more of. Because I think these are the stories that need to be out there.
The way I got introduced to, doing this was my fraternity brother, Earl. His son had a form of cancer, actually. It was terrible, so Earl turned over every rock. He wanted to find any way to help his son. And a part of that was organizing an event where everybody can get swabbed to find out if they were compatible with EJ, his son's name.
Okay.
ZJ. So that's how I got in the registry, initially. It was a lot of love in that area, a lot of just, encouragement for Earl because he was doing his damnedest to save his son's life. Unfortunately, Earl's son passed away not too long after that. So it was just a terrible loss for him and the whole community, actually. I saw the toll that took. So, when you see a parent mourning the loss of their child, it has an effect on you. It's one of those things that kind of changes your life a little bit. And I say that because I have 2 daughters. I wouldn't be able to even comprehend that happening to them. When something like that has an effect on you, you feel like you have to do something. Time progressed. Out of the blue, I was a match for someone else. And the person on the other side of that donation, that could have been Earl's son. That could be anybody's son. It could be somebody's daughter. It could be somebody's mother. And that, donation to them, that gives them an extra day. It changes their lives. When you found out that you had a match or, from someone, how'd that feel?
I was elated. I actually didn't believe it. When you're living with a chronic illness for your whole life, you kind of think there's no way out. But once I heard the news, I was ready to get the journey started, but I didn't necessarily know exactly what it entailed. So I started my process at the beginning of 2018, but there had to be so much testing done on my part and so much testing done on my donor's part as well after we matched. And then from that, I had to go through a couple of months of chemotherapy so they could kill all of my old cells in my body. I got my transplant March 2019. It was similar to a blood transfusion. It's kind of hard to believe that such a life-changing process could be broken down into about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed was my eyes turn white. My eyes were yellow for my whole life because of jaundice. So that's the first thing I noticed, and that happened instantly. It happened in a matter of minutes.
From the time I found out I was a match, I didn't know, honestly, how much time that person had left. So from the day I found out, it's almost like you're seeing an hourglass flip up and it's going way faster than it should on somebody's life, though. And it took about a year for me to actually, donate. So that amount of time, just thinking of each day that person taking medicine, dealing with the pain, going to sleep and just not knowing if they're gonna wake up tomorrow morning. I didn't know the person at the time. I didn't know their story. I just knew that they needed help. And just that not knowing can play tricks on your mind a lot of the time. During that time when you did have sickle cell, how'd that affect the relationship with your son?
It was difficult. I had a great support system, so he was always taken care of, but it took a lot of time away from him.
Hi, Daddy. This is me, Landon. I know you can't talk because you're not feeling well. And I was here to say good night. Bye. I love you.
You know, Landon's mother passed away in 2016, so when I had the doctors telling me that, you know, I'd probably live until the time I'm 35 or 36, the way my sickle cell is going, I mean, it killed me, and I kind of just, you know, I kind of detached a little bit. Part of me didn't want to get super close to Landon because I felt like I was going to be gone, because that's what you've been told your whole life. And, you know, it hurt, because if a doctor tells you something enough times, you're going to believe it. If anybody tells you something enough times, you're going to believe it.
How's your life changed now?
The impact on me and my son's life and me and my family's life in general is just amazing. You know, I'm able to live a life sickle cell free, and being able to plan now without having to worry about being hospitalized, you know, it's great, but it also presents its challenges. I mean, I was never able to do this in the past, whether it be with relationships or jobs or sports or anything. Being able to be consistent with something when you weren't able to do that before.
So I know one thing that keeps a lot of people from wanting to help out in the medical system, whether that's giving blood, etc., is a fear of the past and things that have been done to the Black community specifically. I'm curious, was that something on your mind when you were going to give?
Oh, it definitely was. One of the more common examples of that is the Tuskegee experiment. I told my mom about the whole process, and she's from a different generation, so she was really skeptical. Like, so they want you to give what to who? So it was something that I carry with me because I trust her word. I understand the distrust between the medical community and the Black population in America, but I would also say that we are in, it's 2022, it's age of information. Everybody has that ability to research. I believe just understanding the right people to talk to is the key to doing that, though. Having a trusted advisor in your groups or your friend circle, and just being able to reach out and ask those questions. If you care about, the people that are specifically in your family, in your community, it behooves you to actually be a part of that change, be a part of that growth.
It's been mentally difficult for me to even tell my story, because I feel like there are so many sickle cell patients out there who aren't fortunate enough to have had a transplant. I think that a lot of people don't donate because they think it's gonna be this long, strenuous process. But we have to do a better job spreading the word. You get a huge return on your investment because you're actually saving someone's life.
After you actually donated the blood stem cells, like what was your feeling, and what would you tell someone else that has hesitation?
Giving part of your person is such an intimate, thing to do. Blood stem cells, that a needle went in my body, took them out, and somebody else has them. That's a commitment. That part of you is a part of that person forever. I don't think you ever stop being afraid of stuff. I just think you have to understand that sometimes you gotta have the courage to kind of just walk through it. I was scared the whole time, so I wouldn't say I really conquered it. I embraced it.